All right, guys, a lot of takeaways here from this one as the Golden Knights head into the All-Star break with a really respectable record. 29, 19, and 4, I believe, is what it is. Considering that slow start, I think you take that, but do you take the way that they've kind of entered the break, losing 4 out of 6? John Castanino here on the ice. This report brought to you by the Michael Wester Allstate Agency, 702-435-4211. Great people over there, great supporters of our show. And check out our new website, sportsadrenalinelv.com. Also, the Pint on West Charleston near Wallapai. Great people over there if you're on the west side of town. So Golden Knights lose this one, a tight one, 2-1 the final. I believe it stayed 2-1. That late goal that late puck that went in the net was not counted. And the Golden Knights go into the break losing 4 out of 6, which is strange considering how well this team's played. I believe they won 9 out of 11, kind of going into, I guess, the back end here where they lose a few games heading into the All-Star break. So that was the first thing I asked Marc-Andre Fleury about that. A couple fluke goals, clearly. Yep, Tiffany. And we can get to John Merrill as well and Brad Hunt and maybe who should be here and who shouldn't be here. That could be a debate that lingers on depending on how Merrill plays the rest of the season. But Marc-Andre not worried. A lot of close games. And this one was close, right? Golden Knights dominate the first period. They dominate the third period. They just don't win the game in that second period, which has been rough for them all season long in fits and starts. Just don't know what it is. They come out with their hair on fire, basically, after that loss to the Wild on Monday, where it was a pretty flat effort from them throughout the game. And it was a game that Gerard Gallant said they didn't wake up for, and yet they woke up early on this one. They get the 1-0 lead. Max Pacioretty on a nice pass from Alex Tuch take the lead, and then a couple fluke goals in the second period. But the second period, really, the Wild definitely outplayed the Golden Knights. Third period, they only get 2 shots on goal. Excuse me, I'm totally spacing here, but they only get 2 shots on goal, the Predators, and the Golden Knights pounding Saros, and this is a good backup goaltender. So, yep, they did play so hard. Tiffany's right. I might know her. She's right, but they got a bunch of shots on net on Saros, and he's had a really great season. So with him getting the win, he's 12-6-1 this season, which is really impressive for a number 2 goaltender, and he gets the win. The final totals aren't up here. I just turned my head and tell you how many shots, but I know it was 40-plus shots. The Golden Knights could only get 1 through. So you look at the power play, though, and they come up empty on the power play, at least 4 full opportunities, and then there was just that chaos in the third period where they had the 5-on-4, and then the 4-on-4, and then the 4-on-3, and then the 4-on-4, and then the 5-on-4. I think I got that right. And they still couldn't get a puck in the net. So just tough. And then, of course, you have the PK Subban deal, and you saw it at home. I mean, I was up in the press box, so obviously didn't hear what the broadcasters are saying. I can only speak for Ryan Reeves, who we asked him about what he saw after the game, and he just said he saw a kerfuffle. He didn't use that word, kerfuffle. I'm using that word. But he saw a scuffle, and he just went in to help a teammate. He saw gloves were removed, and he saw Subban and Belmar going at it. So he didn't really have an angle on what exactly took place. He was just sticking up for a teammate. I know PK said I wasn't in the locker room, but this is just other media guys saying the PK blatantly said he bit me, and I know Belmar refuting that, so that's a he said, she said, he said, sorry. There is no she in this scenario. So that was just interesting, but the Golden Knights couldn't make anything out of it. They get kind of the momentum going to the period, right, where there's that scuffle, and then Ryan Reeves steps up. But third period, just couldn't get anything going right. And then kind of strange after the game, Gerard Gallant not doing the post-game press conference as usual. It's a first time, at least I've only missed a handful of games in the 2 seasons that we've been covering this team, but I'm pretty sure Mike Kelly has never shown up for a post-game press conference before, at least at home. So Mike Kelly, the assistant coach, came out, and he had a few comments, and he thought his team played well, and you can certainly argue that way. It's just it's unfortunate the Golden Knights kind of ending the first half, a really good stretch here later after the first 20 games with the return of Nate Schmidt, but they just kind of not implode by any stretch, but just kind of hit a lull here, and they lose 4 of 6. So Marc-Andre Fleury, he said he's going to rest up and he's going to enjoy the All-Star break. A lot of these guys are going to enjoy the break, and hopefully they come out for the short second half, right? They've played 52-ish games, so they've only got 30 to come back and try to position themselves and hopefully get some home ice here during the playoffs. But this is a good team. Identical records. 29-18-4, both Nashville and Vegas coming into this game, and Nashville getting the better of Vegas. First time this season that the Golden Knights have lost back-to-back home games in regulation, which is kind of a shock. They lost back-to-back overtime games earlier, I want to say in December, maybe by the end of the year. I can't remember those back-to-back overtime games. And then early on in the season, they did lose a game in overtime and then lost a game in regulation. So I guess only the third time this season they've had back-to-back losses here at home. So don't really know what to make of it. I mean, they played well. They said they played well. I certainly can't say that they played bad. John Merrill, though, to touch on what Tiffany had chimed in on. John Merrill, wondering what you guys thought of his performance. He didn't have a great night. Been playing really well as of late, but draws a couple penalties. That interference call was pretty crazy, where he just skates into to Saros to pick up the penalty. And this is a first game, right, without Brad Hunt. So kind of interesting, Merrill and Brad Hunt, they've kind of had a kinship as the two guys that have been the healthy scratches for a lot of the season. The 7th and 8th defenseman, and then Hunt leaves. And fantastic story in The Athletic, if you guys didn't read that, if you're not a subscriber. But it was great. The Minnesota Wild beat reporter caught up with Brad Hunt, basically on his flight out of Vegas, which was yesterday morning, and caught up with him all day long, and Hunt's one of those cool guys. Really enjoyed having him around. He should get some more playing time in Minnesota, and that was kind of part of the reason that they traded him. Brad Hunt was worried about his playing time, as he should have, so he should get some more minutes in Minnesota. But curious what you guys think. I mean, what do you think? Got another Stanley Cup run left in this team? I'd like to think so. You're going to have lulls here, so we'll call this a little lull heading into the All-Star break, but hopefully these last 30 games or so heading into the playoffs, this team gets it together and they get healthy, too. You have Malcolm Subban that's set to come off injured reserve at some point. Riley Smith was skating with the team. I think it was just yesterday. I guess it would have been this morning as well. And then no contact, blue jersey, so he should be coming back soon, which means some more roster changes coming up here potentially. They're going to have to make another move, at least one more move, right, to find a spot for Brandon Peary. Can't put Peary back down to the AHL without sending him through waivers, and not sure he's going to clear waivers, so who's the odd man out here? So we'll find out some stuff, which leads me into, why don't you watch Sports Adrenaline tomorrow night right here on Facebook Live? Set to start around 7:30-ish. We got a lot to talk about, and I'm going to run all this sound that we got from the team here after this game. We'll touch on the Runnin' Rebels 5-1 Mountain West Conference start, see if it's fool's gold or not, and a new segment might involve beer. Tune in tomorrow night right here on Facebook Live, and we'll see you then. Signing off from T-Mobile Arena, Golden Knights lose against Nashville 2-1.